60 years, 10 billion passengers, 0 fatalities, not 0 accidents in a good year, not 0 fatalities on one line, 0 passenger deaths from train accidents across the entire Shinkansen network in 6 decades of continuous operation. The bullet train has carried more people than the population of China, and not one of them has died because the train derailed or crashed.
By the standards of any engineering system anywhere in the world, this is an almost incomprehensible achievement. The Shinkansen runs through some of the most seismically active land on Earth. It operates through typhoons. Its trains move at sunbray Arsha kilometers per hour, which is fast enough that a collision would be catastrophic.
So here is the question that should keep transportation planners up at night if Japan built something that safe, that fast, and that reliable in Shinkyuvak Luxusif. Why has almost nobody else bought it?
China started building high-speed rail 40 years after Japan. Today, China operates 41,000 kilometers of high-speed track. Japan operates roughly 3,000 kilometers. China has sold its rail technology to Indonesia, Laos, and a growing list of countries across Asia and Africa. Japan has sold its bullet train technology to exactly one country in 60 years, Taiwan.
This is not a story about Japanese technology failing. It is a story about what happens when you build the world's most perfect product for the world's most specific context, and then try to sell it to everyone else.
The Tokaido Shinkansen launched on October Shinkansen Luxusif 10 days before the Tokyo Olympics opened. The symbolism was deliberate. Japan had been flattened 19 years earlier, and the government wanted to show the world something beyond what anyone expected from a country still rebuilding. They showed the world a train that ran at km per hour between Tokyo and Osaka in just over 3 hours, cutting the old express time in half.
The engineering required to make this work was extraordinary. The Shinkansen does not share track with conventional trains. It runs on dedicated lines with no level crossings, no intersections, no roads cutting across, no freight trains using the same rails at night. Every station platform is sealed with automatic barriers. A system called the automatic train control prevents any driver from exceeding the speed limit, even if they wanted to. The train stops the moment it detects seismic activity above a certain threshold, often before passengers feel anything.
What this produces is punctuality that borders on the absurd. JR Central, which operates the Tokaido line between Tokyo and Osaka, reports an average delay per train of around 24 seconds, not 24 minutes, 24 seconds. In a year with major disruptions, including a 3-day rainfall event in Shizuoka Prefecture in E10 the annual average might drift toward 90 seconds. This is considered a bad year.
JR Central generated operating revenues of Senpati Sanju Ichien billion in fiscal year Nisen years gu, roughly Ju Nidor billion, primarily from the Tokaido Shinkansen. A single rail line in a country of Hyak meters gu million people produces Ju Nidor billion in annual revenue. The economics are not just good, they are exceptional. The Tokaido corridor connects Tokyo, Nagoya, Kyoto, and Osaka, a stretch of land that holds roughly 100% of Japan's GDP.
Run a train every few minutes through the world's largest urban corridor, charge a premium, and the money is reliable enough to fund the ongoing construction of the Maglev Chuo Shinkansen, which JR Central is building almost entirely without government subsidies.
The Shinkansen is, by almost every measure, the most successful commercial rail project in history. So why can't Japan sell it?
The most honest answer is that Japan never really tried, at least not the way that wins international contracts. When Indonesia decided in Nisen Wu that it wanted a high-speed rail line between Jakarta and Bandung, both Japan and China submitted proposals. Japan had been cultivating the relationship for years. Japanese engineers had done the feasibility studies. Tokyo had development aid relationships with Jakarta going back decades. On paper, Japan was the obvious choice.
China won the bid.
The reason came down to a single condition: Japan required that the Indonesian government guarantee the loans. Jakarta had concerns about the project's financial viability. The Jakarta-Bandung route covers only back Susa kilometers, not quite long enough to make high-speed rail economically obvious, and was reluctant to put a sovereign guarantee behind it. Japan's infrastructure financing model, developed through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, requires this kind of government backing as a condition of favorable loan terms.
China's offer required no such guarantee. Beijing's proposal bundled construction, technology, and financing from the China Development Bank into a single package with more flexible terms. The Indonesian State Railway Corporation and a consortium of Chinese state-owned enterprises would handle the project together without requiring Jakarta to formally guarantee the debt.
China built the line. It opened for commercial operation in October after significant cost overruns, with a final price tag of CDN Sandor billion against an original estimate of CDN Wador billion. The trains run at around 10 km per hour and have cut the Jakarta-Bandung travel time from 3 hours to around 40 minutes. Indonesia got its bullet train, Japan got a lesson.
The pattern repeats across Southeast Asia. China's Belt and Road Initiative has built HSR, or conventional rail projects, in Laos, Malaysia, Thailand, and Ethiopia, usually with Chinese financing, Chinese construction companies, and Chinese technology transfer. The proposition is simple: you get the infrastructure now, you pay us back over decades, and our companies do most of the building. For governments with limited capital and significant political pressure to show visible development, this is a compelling package.
Japan cannot easily match it. The JL companies, the privatized operators that emerged from the breakup of Japanese national railways in Senkyu Hakatsunanan, have no particular interest in overseas expansion. They operate very profitable domestic networks and have little appetite for the risk of managing foreign projects in unfamiliar regulatory environments. The Japanese government has pushed for more aggressive overseas rail exports through JIC and diplomatic channels. But the commercial machinery is not there in the way China's state-owned enterprise model can mobilize it.
There's also a deeper problem, one that goes to the heart of what makes the Shinkansen exceptional. The bullet train was not designed to be exported, it was designed for Japan.
Japan is one of the most seismically active countries on Earth, and the Shinkansen's entire engineering philosophy is built around earthquake response, the track geometry, the early warning systems, the automatic braking protocols, the soil reinforcement beneath the elevated sections. All of it is calibrated for a specific geological environment. Japan also has extraordinary population density along its main corridors. The Tokaido line earns $20 billion a year, partly because it serves a corridor where the trains are essentially always full.
Most countries that want high-speed rail do not have a Tokaido corridor. They have thinner demand, simpler geology, fewer earthquakes. A buyer purchasing the Shinkansen system is not just buying trains. They are buying an engineering philosophy designed for conditions that may not exist where they are trying to run the trains. This creates a customization problem. Either you adapt the Shinkansen to local conditions, which is expensive and complicated, or you buy it as is, which means paying for earthquake engineering you may not need.
China's high-speed rail technology, derived partly from German and Japanese technology licenses acquired in the 2000s, was designed with international export in mind from relatively early on. The SHH trains that now carry passengers across China were deliberately made adaptable. They can run on different track gauges with modification, operate in a range of climates, and be licensed to local manufacturers in ways that create political goodwill. This is not accidental, it is a strategic choice made by planners who understood that technology transfer is as much a tool of foreign policy as it is an engineering specification.
Japan never made that choice. The Shinkansen continue to be refined, improved, and perfected for the Japanese network. The NU 700S, the latest generation on the Tokaido line, is a masterpiece of incremental engineering. Its energy consumption is JQ% lower than the original NU70 series. Its braking distance is shorter. Its acceleration is smoother. Every few years, GR Central finds another 40 seconds to shave off the Tokyo-Osaka run.
This is Kaizen applied to trains. The continuous improvement philosophy that transformed Japanese manufacturing shows up in the Shinkansen as an endless sequence of micro-innovations, each one optimizing the system a little further. The result is a product that has been polishing itself for 60 years and is now so refined, so specific, so deeply integrated into Japan's particular physical and social landscape, that replicating it elsewhere requires starting almost from scratch.
India may be the proof of concept Japan has needed. The Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project will be Japan's first major Shinkansen export. What makes it different from previous failures is the approach. Japan is not just selling trains. Japanese companies are setting up manufacturing facilities inside India to build components locally, transferring technology in ways that create Indian industrial capacity alongside Indian infrastructure. The trains scheduled for delivery in Nissan will be E10 Shinkansen sets, Japan's newest generation, being introduced internationally at almost the same time as domestically, which has never happened before.
The India project is by itself not enough to reverse 60 years of export inertia, but the logic behind it is more sophisticated than anything Japan has tried before. Narendra Modi's government has a strong political interest in making the project succeed, which provides the kind of high-level backing that previous Japanese export attempts lacked. The Japan-India Infrastructure Partnership, formalized in Nissan B and repeatedly strengthened since, gives the project a diplomatic durability that pure commercial deals often lack.
If India opens its Mumbai-Ahmedabad line and it works, if it runs on time, if the local manufacturing builds real industrial capacity, if the partnership model holds, then Japan will have a proof of concept for a different approach to selling the Shinkansen. Not as a technology package to be transplanted, but as a partnership where Japan's engineering discipline is combined with local manufacturing and genuine political commitment on both sides.
The Shinkansen is 60 years old and has never killed a passenger in a train accident. That fact is so extraordinary that it is worth sitting with for a moment. The most dangerous thing about riding a bullet train in Japan is the door.
Japan built this. Japan refined it for 60 years, and Japan spent most of that time being too good at building it for Japan to be very good at selling it to the world.
China saw an opportunity, built something more portable, backed it with state financing and political relationships, and now operates the largest high-speed rail network on Earth. That is not a story about Chinese technology beating Japanese technology. It is a story about how the definition of a good product depends entirely on what you are trying to do with it.
The question for Japan now is whether the India experiment represents a new model or a one-off. China has 1,000 kilometers of track and a 20-year head start in the export market. Japan has the safest train ever built and finally, after 60 years, its second international customer.
The race is not over, but Japan is very far behind. In a competition it arguably invented. Word count senpat words, estimated duration approximately 6 minutes.